Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rewrite Your Reality with Reese. I am your host, and today I'm going to talk about a question that was on the previous video. There's a subscriber who is a trader and is not experiencing the reality of their desired experience. Why is that? Here's the thing: the way you talk about reality is how you actually think about reality. Unless you are conscious about how you're thinking about reality, not necessarily worrying about how you speak about reality, right? But in this case, let's just go with the former. The question came about, I am not experiencing my desired reality. What's going on? I am God and I want things to work the way I want them to work. Why are they not doing that? You see, there's very specific things that we end up doing when sometimes we believe, hey, we are God, why is it working this way? Shouldn't it be working that way? Here's the thing. Even in your question, you are referring to reality as if this is reality, not that. What I am experiencing in the 3D is reality. What I'm imagining, what I'm saying about myself is not working, because in reality I'm still not experiencing my desired end. Look at what you just said. In reality, I am not experiencing my desired end. I'm imagining it, but in reality, it's not my desired end. In reality, it's not my desired end. That's what you're saying that's what you're saying your reality is. In reality, I am not experiencing my desired end, and you believe in that. You can say that all you want. The words itself have no meaning, but you are giving it that meaning. You are asserting what your reality is. You're saying, no, I am imagining one thing, but my experiencing of reality is absolutely something else. I am only going to accept I am in my desired end until I see it. I'm only going to accept that I'm in my desired end when I see it, not until then. You are then creating a loop of never experiencing what you desire. You imagine it, then you go back into this, I'm not experiencing my desired end, because in reality, what I consider reality, it's not what I want. And then you ask, why isn't it working? Here's the question, right? Here's a better question. How do you know it's not working? If you said something has started, how do you know it's not working? You have a preconceived idea of what working must mean if you are comparing it to what you think it should be and what you are seeing it not be. How do you know it's not working? You have a pre-assumed script. I assume I am a successful trader, therefore I must make thousands every single day. I must succeed at trading in every way. I must move to the country where I desire to live in immediately, in the 3D world. That's not being God. That's saying, this is the script, this is the next day of my life, this is every day of my life, and if it's not that, it's not my life. That's you complaining about a version of reality that simply exists within you, putting your awareness on it over and over again. If you are making thousands of it every single day, would you then think, I am God of my reality? That's still not you knowing yourself as source, because you believe, because I'm making thousands every day, I am God of my reality. But you're making the circumstances decide whether you are God, not deciding that I am God regardless of the circumstances, because any kind of circumstance is simply me expressed as that. There is no other meaning to it. If I don't make money, I am not God. I made some money, now I must be God, so I'm getting it right. How do I make it happen then? You're still letting the 3D outcomes dictate who you are. It's not I am God commanding things to work as I want. It's I am God being everything. When you watch a movie, do you forward and skip to the past that you just want to see without any kind of context without any kind of unwanted scenario happening to any of the characters, and you just go to the end. Lord of the Rings would be quite a funny movie if you started with, hey, Frodo found this ring, and then you just cut to him throwing it into the volcano. Hey, 5 minutes, done. What an experience. That's not what you want inherently. Here's the thing. You think you want that end. You think you want the success of it. But when you get that success, you suddenly want it to slow down. You're trying to dictate how the script is written for you. It's written for you. You are only here choosing the script. And when you are complaining about the script, you have chosen a script where you are complaining about the script, and you will endlessly complain about the script. No one on the face of this earth, or any earth that you inhabit, any reality you inhabit, any parallel universe that exists within you right now, can tell you how it plays out. Because there's infinite number of ways it plays out according to who and what you say you are. The more you rail against reality, the more reality will rail against you. Why? You are reality. I am God. I am a successful trader. I am living in the country where I desire to be living, regardless of whatever happens with my trades that I make. I'm just that identity. It doesn't matter what happens now. I am who I say I am. That's the only thing that matters, right? And here's the other thing. You say you'll check the 3D in 3 to 4 weeks. Why? Check the 3D right now. There's not going to be evidence of it. There's not going to be evidence in 3 to 4 weeks. There's not going to be evidence ever. Because whether or not you make money, it doesn't determine whether you are that identity or not. That is buying the pearl of great price. The only evidence is your own awareness that you say you are who you are. That's the only evidence. You could make $1 million tomorrow, and you could lose it the next day. So what happened? You were God for 5 minutes and then stopped. No, because whether you make $1 million or whether you lose $1 million makes no difference to whether you are God and the version of your identity that you choose to be. That's the point. What you are in awareness is who you are. What happens in the 3D is only a singular reflection in every single moment of who you are being. It doesn't matter. Manifestation is instant. When you instantly know an idea, when you accept that I am this idea right now, it is instantly unfolding that movie. Just like how when you start a movie, it is instantly playing all of it. But you don't experience all of it in one go. You don't get to dictate, hey, Frodo should just go to the mountain and throw the ring into the lava in the next 5 minutes. You don't get to do that. You're the character in the movie. Your higher self is the director. Your higher self is the writer. Your higher self is the producer. Neville Goddard's Four Mighty Ones. The fourth one is you as the actor. In your imagination, you choose the story. You choose how it's written. You choose everything. But you don't choose how it unfolds. That's where it ends. Then your higher self takes over. You can check the 3D as much as you like. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. I know people say don't check the 3D, don't check the 3D because that's you believing in your reality hasn't arrived yet. Not necessarily. There are some times where you can't help but notice that 3D isn't your desired reflection. I'll get into that in a moment. So checking the 3D, coming from this idea that I'm waiting to be the version of myself, that already is you not being the version of yourself. The checking the 3D is nothing more than a byproduct of that. So it doesn't actually matter. If you're checking the 3D because you know who you are, you say, hey, I know I'm this identity. I'm just going to go check out my stock to see what's up with it. That doesn't really matter because you know I am the identity. No matter what I'm seeing my stock be, I'm just seeing what it's doing in the moment. I'm seeing what's happening with it in the moment. I'm just curious as to what's going on in the moment. It's not going to change my mind of who I am. Whether it goes up, whether it goes down, I am God. What I have called forth is my desired reality. It doesn't matter. If I'm going to check that, oh, am I a millionaire yet? That's different. That's you coming from this idea, I am not yet. God is not about forcing outcomes. It's about embodying that everything is part of everything. Because everything is everything. Everything is everything. Infinity is infinity. You're putting infinity into infinity, into infinity, from infinity, from infinity, from infinity. It's just infinity everywhere you look. Even the idea, I am God, not commanding things to work. It must just work now. This idea that I am God, it's pointless to be God if you can't do what and you can't be anything. Then you haven't even decided that you are God yet. You're still waiting to be that. You're still waiting to decide whether you are God or not. You're using God as a tool to get money. You're using God as a tool to get money. The knowing that you are God is as you say, the knowing of God is worthless if you don't get money. That version of you that is complaining, that version of you that has the money, the version of you living your dream life is beneath God itself, beneath you, yourself, because they are all within you, yourself. No one moment is greater than God. But no one moment is more important to God than any other. Kind of a paradox of reality is that God can't be God without any moment, but God is greater than every moment. Funny. So if you're using God as a way to get something, you have not realized who you actually are. You haven't bought the pearl. You bought stock, but you haven't bought the pearl a great price, which is the knowing of your imagination as God, as reality, as the higher self. The small self of you who studied 4 years ago, that doesn't even exist any longer. The small self of you that bought stock, they don't exist any longer either. The small self of you that bought whatever, the small self of you that typed that message, both messages, all the messages, the small self of you that complains all the time, they don't exist any longer. Even my hair is fussing with me. Right? Those small ideas, those 3D selves that you are experiencing, they don't exist. You are not those people. You are trying to be a 3D identity, claiming they are God and claiming money. That 3D identity is a very small aspect of God. You are the greatest part of it. You are not that small identity not experiencing money and even experiencing the money. You are God. You are God in everything. If you imagine something, realize this. Your imagined physical self that you're imagining, right? You can sit there and do this now. Your imagined physical self that you are experiencing, right? Just rub your hands together or something. Just so you know that you are fully playing with that identity as the identity within you. Like wear your skin suit, basically. And then look around. Where's all this stuff coming from? What's giving it light? What's giving it substance? It's you. Fill the room with money. Fill the room with endless amounts of money and pick it up. Right? Play with it, smell it. It's all you. It's all the awareness that you are. It's literally you. You may as well inhabit one of the notes of money and look at yourself, because that's what it is. It's awareness manifested as that. It's as simple as that. Right now you're looking back, 4 years of trading, I finished my MBA, I didn't succeed, I did this. You are waiting and letting that all self-talk the moment you decide that something isn't working right, because you haven't bought the pearl a great price as of yet, right? So buy it. That small self that believes that it isn't. The small self that believes it isn't. You are that successful version of yourself already, regardless of what's happening, because what's happening doesn't determine that. You are God here, experiencing how abundance flows through you in your specific story. Even the idea of my friends and colleagues and people that I know are earning money without knowing that they are God. So obviously God is a pointless bit of information to manifest what you want. Yes and no. Those people are being successful traders. You are trying to be God to be a successful trader. instead of just being the version of yourself that you desire to be. That's the difference. But you are manifesting them. In your reality, you are manifesting those versions of your friends as successful traders. You are manifesting yourself as a version of you who should be a successful trader by knowing that you are God. It's the wrong way around. I am God. I am seeing myself in my friends and myself, my true self, in as manifested as everything, as successful traders, because that's what I am. I'm only seeing what I am. I'm only seeing love. I'm not going to judge my friends for what they have and what I don't have, because I have them within me successful. I have me within me unsuccessful. I have me within me successful. It's a choice. Success is actually a choice of being, it's a state of mind. I'm just going to get back to another story now that I wanted to unpack. It's a bit of a video here, but this idea came to me while thinking about what to say about this one. Right? Neville Goddard's I Am in Barbados mimicked into this idea that, I am a successful trader, I am whatever. Right? I am in Barbados. Just like Neville, just like you, just like us, just like whoever, we have no evidence in the 3D world of anything. They are only expressions of something. That expression means nothing. Right now, none of us knew Neville on a physical level from a physical point of view. None of us have any evidence that Neville actually went to Barbados. No matter how many books there are, because we just take it for granted now that he went, no matter how many books there are that he went to Barbados, there's no evidence of it. No matter how many videos there are of Neville going to Barbados, there's no evidence of it. There's writings, there's words, there's people saying that he did this, but there's no evidence whatsoever in the 3D physical world that Neville went to Barbados. So how do we know he went to Barbados? Because all of us are creating the idea within us right now of a version of Neville Goddard who imagined himself going to Barbados, then experiencing being on the ship and going to Barbados, and then being in Barbados and telling a story of how one day he imagined himself going to Barbados because he was a desired end, and he went to Barbados, and then he was sharing his reality creation steps. That awareness of the story is the only evidence that you will ever need to know that that story actually exists. It doesn't matter if it physically happened, because your awareness of it, your faith of it, your unquestioningly knowing that it is true is the only thing that matters about whether it is true or not, because we are living as the versions of ourselves where that just happened and it is true. But there's no other evidence of it, no matter how much writing there is. Just like how there's no evidence of you being an unsuccessful trader. There's no evidence of you being the identity that is an unsuccessful trader. You just keep being aware of the version of yourself who is an unsuccessful trader, waiting to be successful to finally believe that you are a successful trader. Getting back to Neville. Don't check the 3D for evidence. Neville Goddard is standing in New York. Neville is affirming himself here, where he knows himself to be in awareness, in consciousness, in Barbados. Now, is Neville supposed to not check the 3D in a different country? How's that going to work? Is he supposed to close his eyes, find his way to the pier, get on the ship, and open them when he feels sand between his toes? No, that doesn't make any sense. Because you, as a 3D physical being, understand that, hey, I know that I'm in Barbados. I know I'm atop the mountain. I know I'm backpacking in Europe. I know I'm living in another country. I know I'm doing this thing. I know that physically I'm not experiencing that part of reality, but I know that in my awareness, as a consciousness, I can physically experience it because it's my desired end, and it's who I choose myself to now be, and it's who I assume I am unfolding into and as, regardless of what reality appears to be. Jesus, don't judge appearances, because you can't. Neville's not checking Instagram to see if Barbados has a third party. He's not looking outside his windows to see if it's closer to him yet. He's not checking to see if his ticket to Barbados arrived in the mail. He could, from expectation, but not from wondering if he is that identity. That's the difference. You see, we often gloss over those ideas because we're still looking for evidence in some form, right? We're looking for evidence in some form. When we look at Neville, we say, oh, well, obviously he's not going to look to see if he's in Barbados. He's not there. But he knew he was, and then he ended up there. But we don't ever talk about, well, he wasn't checking the 3D, because it's just obvious that he couldn't. But if you have a specific person, if you have stock that you're buying, if you have a job that you want, if you have this and that, the smaller ideas physically, where you can typically get evidence of said reality, then checking your 3D becomes another form of evidence that you require. But you will always require evidence that this is true. Because if you're coming from a 3D version of yourself, that needs evidence. So it doesn't really matter what kind of evidence you want, you will look for it in some way. But if you know it's not there, you'll just look for it in another way, right? Say, oh no, did Neville really go? What did he do? See, you need evidence. I manifested my specific person. Or what evidence was there? I bought the stock and it skyrocketed overnight. Oh, what did you do? Which stock was it? How did you know to buy it? What happened? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You're not here to live in the shadow of one, the 3D world, and two, another person. You are here to cast a shadow as the awareness of being light. That's who you are. There's this funny thing that I thought about earlier, and I just remembered it now. If you're familiar, there's a movie called Ghostbusters. At the very end of Ghostbusters, there is a scene where they're facing off against the so-called god that's trying to destroy something or other, and the god says, choose the form of your destroyer. Basically, choose the form, imagine the form of what it is you want to manifest in the world. In that case, it was what's going to destroy us, right? That's what you're doing. When you're looking for evidence, you're saying, choose the form of evidence you want to see where you believe you are not this identity. But you're staring the evidence that you are in the face. You are staring at the evidence of what you desire to be in the face right then and there. By seeing it, that's the evidence, regardless of what happens. I'm your host, Reese. This is Rewrite Your Reality with Reese. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the questions. Truly, I hope this will land powerfully. Let it in. Buy that pearl. Buy the pearl of great price, your imagination, right? God is a creator, not a day trader. Neither are you. You aren't a day trader. You are God. You are choosing a life experience of being a successful day trader. That's the difference. Facebook page, TikTok page, join the communities of Rewrite Your Reality with Reese on those. You can check out new forms of content. You can post content. You can ask questions and post questions yourself. You can check out other questions that people have and maybe every time understand more of it. My email is in the description box below. And if you get a hold of me, that being said, much love, much light, and I will see you all in the next one.